The Louvre, an enormous museum in the making, with the complex architecture of a palatial domain built over 800 years. That's what I.M. Pei inherited in the 1980s when he proposed to build a pyramid right in the middle of the Cour Napoléon.
The Louvre Pyramid had to conserve a perception of the Louvre Palace in its whole, whereas it's a contemporary work. That was a rather delicate exercise.
A new battle awaited the architect, a technological one. The pyramid had to be completely transparent. No such structure had ever been built before. Everything had to be invented from scratch, starting with the glass, comprised of 673 panels.
We were looking for glass that was like the glass that is used when you make a wine glass or when you make spectacles. That's called white glass. But it was not available in any quantity for what we needed.
Transparency was a real challenge, since glass naturally has a slight green tint, a color produced by the iron content in sand, the main component of glass.
My father said, I cannot have that green color. I don't want the facades of the Louvre be distorted by any color at all.
To satisfy Pei's dreams of grandeur and beauty, the Saint-Gobain glass manufacturer reduced the iron content, but there was a problem. Their traditional gas furnaces weren't adapted. The 1500 degrees centigrade temperature was too high for this new, more transparent glass.
We had to use a different process. We heated the glass with electricity. That gave us more control over the temperature and heat diffusion inside the furnace.
In April 1986, after a year and a half of research, Saint-Gobain presented the glass fresh from their new electric furnace. The life-sized sample was put on display in the Cour Napoléon, in the very spot where the pyramid was to stand. It worked, and the order was approved. Another challenge awaited the manufacturer: production. December 1986, Saint-Gobain launched the fabrication of 673 panels that would compose the pyramid.
We're a heavy industry, make slabs of glass sheets. But here we were asked to provide individual units, finished units, fashioned like in silversmithery.
To satisfy the architect's high demands, workers scrutinized the 3,800 square meters of glass.
Initially, the transparent glass sheets were placed on stands where they could be examined for any flaws. It was a very serious business.
The glass sheets were then cut into rhombus-shaped segments of 3 by 1.9 meters, then glued together 2 by 2 with a light plastic film to create a double glazing.
They needed to think about safety. In other words, laminated glass. In the event of breakage, the glass holds together like a car windshield.
The new laminated double glass segments, 21.5 millimeters thick, were then glued rather than bolted into an aluminum frame.
That was another innovative process at the time, which allowed us to create perfectly smooth facades.
The total weight of the 673 glass and aluminum panels, 105 tons. Quite a load to bear. Another technical challenge awaited Pei's teams: the structure of the pyramid. Pei didn't want his pyramid to obstruct the view of the Louvre Palace. Though the extra transparent glass helped with this, he also had to think of the structure of the glass walls.
We had to innovate, because the structure of the pyramid is a totally innovative structure that had not existed before.
Pei's team settled on a framework made of stainless steel, a quintessential light yet solid material.
There were conventional ways to do the pyramid structure, but they would have made it look like a prison. Big iron beams crisscrossing together. And we looked at a space frame.
It was a very difficult study in a context where, although we did have computers and calculation capacity, it was nevertheless computer technology from the late 80s.
Inside the glass pyramid, the structure echoes the rhombus-shaped grid. The strung cables and bars perpendicular to the glass are able to bear the incredible load of the glass panels. To develop the system, the engineers turned to yacht technology.
We were able to develop a system which is basically the way you hold the mast of a yacht up, where you have one pole that is in compression and then cables that are very slender that hold it from tipping over, that take it in tension.
With this ingenious system applied to the pyramid, Pei achieved the impossible feat of a structure that is both solid and transparent. In January 1988, the 95-ton steel structure, which took 9 months to put in place, was ready to accommodate the 105 tons of rhombus-shaped panels of glass and aluminum. The pyramid, chiseled like a diamond in the Cour Napoleon, was now part of the scenery.
The Louvre Pyramid is architectural audacity at the service of heritage.
Beneath the pyramid, a vast underground lobby finally gave the Louvre its heart and lungs. 9 meters deep, its walls are clad in stone, like the foundations of the palace surrounding it.
We wanted to use materials that were related to the materials that all of Paris is built with and that the Louvre Palace is built with. I spent over a year going to meet people in quarries in France, both in the Burgundy region, in the Chablis region, to find the right kind of stone. It's just beautiful, very hard, will last a long, long time.
The smooth white concrete ceiling was developed according to the same strict demands. It took a year and a half of trials in order to hit on the right formula.
We used a special mix where we used this dust powder from the same stone we were using in the stone walls to give it that color. And we used white cement, so it didn't change the color.
Here in this temple of art, I and Pei continued to play with geometric shapes. The straight lines of the escalators contrast with the spiral staircase winding around the cylindrical elevator.
I.M. said, you must not see it when it's not there. So we had to invent an elevator that we'd never seen before.
To meet Pei's demands, the engineers designed an elevator based on the principle of a piston that retracts into a 13-meter deep well.
The constructors had to build a large, deep well, waterproof well, with a piston that then rises slowly out of the well. And so there is a platform on the end of a piston that goes up and takes you up, glides magically up, and then a little platform automatically comes out of the piston to create a bridge. That was a tour de force.
When the elevator is all the way up, it fills the central space of the staircase, but when the platform goes back down to the lobby, it disappears entirely. Decked out in all its finery, the Louvre Pyramid opens its doors on March 29, 1989.
It was nice because the criticism, there were still some people probably who didn't want to see it there, but it was there and people were liking it. And I felt strongly about this, that the pyramid should be sensed that it was a shelter over something more important.
While the glass pyramid had become the emblematic symbol of the Grand Louvre, the transformation of the palace was not yet complete. A major renovation awaited the architects, the development of the Richelieu wing with its 49,000 square meters. An area previously devoted to the Ministry of Finance and not adapted to a museum space in the least.
It had always been used for administration, so there were mezzanine offices with a height of just 3 meters. Museum rooms need to be 6, 7, or 8 meters high.
The building was transformed from 7 levels into 4 large stories. The construction site was spectacular.
It was an exceptionally huge work site. We gutted the building of the Richelieu wing, keeping only the exterior facades. It was one single volume. We broke all the floors.
Only Napoleon III's apartments were conserved. Everything else had to be rebuilt, a custom design in keeping with the artworks to be displayed here. The former ministry courtyard was transformed into a sculpture gallery, and many levels of terraces were created. The space was covered with a glass canopy that let natural light in while protecting the artworks.
We needed to develop a thin framework so the sculptures wouldn't be hacked up by shadows when there was sun. By using relatively thin cables and tubes, the shadows created are very slight and vague. They don't ruin the view of the sculptures.
In all, 165 new rooms were created. To move from floor to floor, Pei imposed, like his predecessors, his own modern-day stairway, the Richelieu escalator.
To make sure that they didn't look too much like escalators in a supermarket, we placed them between two stone walls, created a space with direct overhead natural lighting. It's an architectural element, not merely an element for moving about.
The inauguration of the Richelieu wing in 1993 did not mark the end of the renovations. The Grand Louvre continued its extension below the Carousel Gardens with the creation of a parking lot and a shopping center. The centerpiece of the new development, the inverted pyramid.
The pyramid is a geometrical form adapted to loads and weightlessness. But an inverted pyramid doesn't rest on the ground. Unlike the pyramid of the entrance where the glass is supported, here the glass is suspended. The glass needs to be held, otherwise it falls.
The construction of the Grand Louvre also involved the development of the Tuileries Gardens, the restoration of 11 hectares of facades, the renovation of the Louvre School, and the Decorative Arts Museum. Two institutions independent from the Louvre Museum, but which have also kept traces of architecture from the former palaces.
The Grand Louvre is an extraordinary operation which for 15 years could have been perceived, or at least by myself as a young architect perceived it, at one time as a completion. But not at all. The Grand Louvre has already been extended.
And of the 360,000 square meters of floor space that make up the Louvre Palace, the museum still has quite a few spots in need of renovation. The Louvre, an indisputable site of historical interest. Within these walls, 800 years of French history, but also 800 years of architecture and art history.
From the infrastructures of the original fortifications to the glass pyramid, we have the complete synthesis of technical and ornamental expertise of French architecture. An open book.
In its quest for space and fluidity, the museum has dug tunnels, knocked down walls, and recovered entire portions of the palace. A largely successful gamble, yet an insufficient one.
Pei's Louvre was designed for 5 million visitors, but in no time we were up to 10. What will it be in 15 years? 25 million?
More challenges for the Louvre of the 21st century and new transformations in view.
I think that the Louvre will continually change. You know, the changes will never stop.